NHL Fans 365, a hockey podcast where we talk about many different topics from around the league. And here's your host, Boomstick.
'90s music,
Oh, yes.
for sure. And what is going on, Hockey World? This is your host, Boomstick of NHL Fans 365, and we have episode, I think, 31, actually. Wow, 31. Am I living under a rock? Somebody please tell me if I'm not living under a rock already.
You are not Patrick Star. No, you are not.
I am not Patrick. Ow! I just whacked myself in the nuts by accident. Fuck.
You are Patrick.
Oh, fuck, this sucks. Oh, God. Oh, God, this hurts. Don't have kids. Oh, oh God. Okay. Oh, this sucks. Anyway, let's start this over. What's going on, guys? Your host, Boomstick of NHL Fans 365, the head admin of the Buffalo Sabres, and I have three lovely gentlemen here on board tonight. And starting on my left, we have our San Jose Sharks admin, hashtag HertlTheTurtle. How you doing, boss?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. You playing Pokemon Go lately?
Yes.
Anything new?
Evolved a Pidgeotto and got a nice Eevee that will hopefully be a Vaporeon.
Did you name it Rainer?
Yes.
Good. Because apparently if you want Jolteon, you have to name it Sparky.
Yep.
Which is stupid because whatever. But it's the game, it's logic, but whatever. And then in the middle, we have our Vancouver Canucks admin, hashtag CaptainKirk. How you doing, boss?
We're doing pretty good, enjoying the beautiful West Coast weather. How are you doing, Boomstick?
I am doing fantastic. I just came back from a roller hockey game not too long ago. I took a quick shower. I got myself a nice box of pizza. It's a little like miniature-sized pizza with a grandma slice, and you're not gonna hear this, and you're not gonna believe me about it. But in my local town, there's a place called Via Roma. It's a pizzeria place, obviously, and what they sell is, I bet you've never heard this one before, is Caesar salad slices.
Interesting.
Like slices of Caesar salad.
Caesar salad on white bread, like on a pizza slice, with no tomato sauce, no nothing. It's just the lettuce alone, the chicken with Caesar salad dressing.
That sounds awful.
I've never heard of that before.
Well, I had that for dinner just now. It's absolutely...
You Americans do everything, though, from fucking deep frying Twinkies to...
Don't ever knock a deep fried Twinkie.
Hey, I'm not. I'm just saying.
No, listen, I live in New York. I don't live in fucking Texas where they like deep fry everything. You know, deep fry Oreo, deep fried beer, deep fried pancakes. I mean, come on. Me as a New Yorker, we don't really do that. We do carry the best pizza in the world, though. I'll give you that.
All right.
Why? What do you got?
No. New York does have everywhere else beat when it comes to pizza. I hate deep dish pizza, and Brooklyn style is just the only way to go.
Well, I mean, not entirely. I mean, there's other sources of material you have down here in the States, but whatever. Works for me, though. But then, on my right side of my screen, we have, unless it's my left, I don't know. Left, right. Okay, so it's my right. So we have our Boston Bruins admin, hashtag OnCloudLine. How you doing, boss?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I am doing fantastic. I am wiped out. I am tired. But then again, I am excited I'm wide awake for this podcast. So that's all I can really say. And I'm pretty excited to get going, actually. So without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. And the majority of this episode is going to be about giant contracts and fucking rumors. And we're revealing a new project on the page. So stay tuned for that. So we will reveal the new plans for the show. And the majority of you probably know about it. I'll tell you in the end of the show what it is, if for those of you who don't know. But anyway, so let's jump right into it. So to start off the weekend, we got major news coming across Tampa Bay and Dallas. And Jamie Benn and Alex Killorn both got giant contracts. And supposedly, Jamie Benn's contract is going to be worth about 8 years, $76 million. At a total average, he's making about $9.5 million for that next time frame. What do you guys think?
He's the only one on that team worth it, but that's That's a ridiculous contract. Like, to think that a guy is going to be able to compete at that level for 8 years is ridiculous.
I absolutely agree with that. But by the time this contract expires, he'll probably be what, 34? He's
Yeah,
20. He's 26 right now, so it's going to be around that time frame. But I mean, when you said the only guy worth it, are you forgetting Tyler Seguin?
No, I meant what I said.
Oh, okay. It's one of those, huh? It's one of those. So, what do you guys think, Rob and Austin? What do you guys think?
I feel like it's way too much.
And why is that?
I feel like it could be really dangerous because what if he does get injured somewhere down the line and he just won't be the same player anymore? Then you're pretty much stuck with him.
I mean, how old is Sagan?
Well, he's mid-20s too, isn't he? Right? It's like
Somewhat, yeah. I think he's like 20. I think, how old was he when he got traded? Like, what? 20, 21 years old?
Hold on. 22.
22 when he got traded? Or right now?
22 when he got traded. He's 26 currently.
it says 24 right now. He's born January 31st, 1992.
Oh, wow. He's going to be 24.
Jamie Benn?
No, Tyler Seguin.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about Jamie Benn.
Yeah, Jamie Benn is 26 and Tyler Sagan's 24. Let's just put it. Yeah, it's okay. But what do you think of the contract that Jamie Benn got, Austin?
I don't know. Like, I'm looking at the breakdown right here, and like I'm looking at it, and $9.5 million for a 34-year-old player. Like, where in your mind does that make sense? And like someone said, he gets hurt 2 years into that contract, you're never gonna move him.
I mean,
Serious, and then you're stuck with a cap hit. I don't know. I mean, he's a great player, but they're expecting him to be an Anze Kopitar. They're expecting him to be a Patrick Kane, and they're just not. I don't think they're gonna get that.
but to be,
Maybe if Sagan carries them, I don't know. But anyway, go ahead.
I was gonna say was, to be fair, he was one of the 3 finalists for the Hart Trophy.
And that's fair. That's a fair point. But there's been players who have had 2 great years and then like they just go down, right? So maybe they have a great deal here and he's gonna play solidly for his whole career. But it's just right now it looks like a huge risk.
Maybe, but it all comes down to the older people as well, like Jason Spezza, Kari Lettinen, and all those guys.
Yeah.
What really gets me the most about it, it sets a precedent for free agents like Brad Marchand or pending free agents like Brad Marchand over the next couple of years. They're looking at, especially the ones that are as valuable to their team as a Jamie Benn, as whoever else. Now they've got this guy in Dallas making $9.5 million a year over 8 years.
That is true.
He's reset the market, and it's dangerous for teams. It's going to create a lot of salary cap problems when these big name players start coming up off of their second. It would be Marchand's second contract, I think, because he already played out his entry level contract. But it's going to be dangerous for teams like Boston, like whoever else that have players that are coming up in their second to last or their last year that are of their current contract and are looking for extensions.
I mean, that's true. I mean, Rasmus Ristolainen's the next guy to be in line. I mean, he's going to get a long-term deal with Buffalo, no question about it. And the Sabres have $8 million to play with in the cap because they used half of that on the next contestant we're going to talk about down the road. But Ristolainen's contract is probably going to be an estimate where Jamie Benn is making, but probably going to be less. And Ristolainen's got a lot of years ahead of him, so he could definitely live up to that contract. But the guy is an Iron Man, and he's just about the next Zdeno Chara. Once Chara retires, Rasmus Ristolainen is the next key guy to be getting that giant contract. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, for Dallas's case, if they really, really, really are sure about this contract, well, here's my question: If the Dallas Stars are stuck with this contract, if, say, God forbid, Jamie Benn gets hurt, I mean, I don't ever want to see him get hurt, but are they be able to move the contracts like they did with Marc Savard for the last 5 years? Because they,
Not
nah.
something that big. No way.
I mean, Savard's contract got traded twice. So
Yeah, but Savard wasn't making 9.5 a year.
yeah, and the Toronto Maple Leafs were trying to give Stamkos $13 million a couple weeks back, close to a month, which is ridiculous. I mean, Buffalo was going to give him $12 million, and then Tampa is like, "Fuck it, we're just going to give you $8.5 million," and then lock up Stamkos from there. But
Sorry, let's take a moment here to think about it. Jamie Benn is making more than Steven Stamkos.
that's what I was thinking.
How is that logical? I mean, he is a little younger, fair enough, but I don't think you can
he'll never be as talented. He'll never be the producer that Stamkos is. That's just not the kind of player that Jamie Benn is. He's good. He's a very good player. He's not 9.5 million good, and like I said, he's going to be screwing up salary caps for the next five years or so, just because he's reset the market for a let's say top third of the league as far as where he sits as far as caliber of player, and it's gonna just the whole league's gonna get turned on its head because all of a sudden there are teams that aren't gonna be able to afford to pay these guys what they want to get paid, but there will be a team down the road that will.
Maybe.
Comes another lockout.
Yeah, and you know what? And the really shitty thing is that now Dallas is gonna have to in a few years pay Tyler Seguin a huge contract too. So.
I mean, Spezza's not going to get a long-term deal for sure because he's up in the ring where he needs to win now. Like, right now. Right now, as we speak, as of right now, the Dallas Stars have to win the Cup with the core they have. I mean, Spezza's not getting any younger. Ben has just got a new contract. He's got a lot to prove. Tyler Seguin, I think, is a UFA in 3 years, and who else is on the Dallas Stars? Patrick Sharp is a UFA next year. So the Dallas Stars right now are in such a tight cap space because of Jamie Benn's contract.
And they're not going to get any closer next year to the Cup than they did this year because they have way too many questions that need to be answered that offensive players aren't going to do for them. They don't have a defense, and they don't have a legitimate every night goaltender. They got two that can be solid if they have a decent team in front of them, but they don't have a defense that can play in front of them and actually win when they need to.
Yeah, and if it wasn't bad enough, they're already talking about trading. And I know you and I talked about this on the podcast a couple of nights ago, a couple podcasts ago. I don't know exactly, but we talked about it for sure. I don't know if you were on there or not, but we were talking about Dallas acquiring Ben Bishop from Tampa Bay or acquiring Tuukka Rask from Boston because the Dallas Stars desperately need a goalie, and Lettinen and Niemi are both injury prone, and they got giant contracts.
Yeah, and well, like I said, for Rask, I mean, if you say he did one out of Boston, Dallas isn't the place he's going to go because that's going to be a career killer for him. He won't be able to recover from that, unless they are able to bring in a lot of free agents on the defensive side of the puck, to really shore up what's in front of him. He wouldn't go there if he's got half a brain. But what's going to happen with this contract too is you're turning the league into a bunch of mercenaries. They're just going to go. That are going to go where the money goes. You know what I mean?
That's just going to come and go, just like a fucking prostitute trying to get another man. You pay, you come. You pay, you come. Not to mix that up with an analogy with the rest of the audience, but that you get my point, though. I mean, it's a complete.
So basketball players or football players where they go where the money is. They're going to go to big market teams. They're going to be able to stack their lineups, and smaller market teams aren't going to be able to keep up.
Oh, yeah, and don't even get me started with Major League Baseball. Giancarlo Stanton is making $325 million for, I think, 8 years?
And he's on the Marlins.
Oh, and this player, and one of you can help me out with this. I don't know shit about the NBA, but I read this on in the media because I'm with other sports articles and pages like that actually spreaded the word about it. And they were saying this guy, Mike Conley, if I said that correctly, got $152 million for I think 3 or 4 for 4 or 5 years with the Memphis Grizzlies. Something like that.
He's like a nobody pretty much.
Well, I mean, and he got that kind of contract. I don't know. I mean, the NFL is a bit of whack too, but Von Miller is getting $114 million with the Denver Broncos. I mean, that contract is ridiculous.
Getting a lot of money. Andrew Luck getting a lot of money.
Yeah, definitely.
Creates problems for or Andrew Luck getting paid is creating problems for my team too. So
with the Washington Redskins.
Yep.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills have somewhat a situation, but they'll get that done. And you know what? As the season progresses, we'll get more into football, but I promise you that for sure. It'll be the first time on the page we'll ever talk about football on the podcast. But it's my page; I can do what we want. So that's that. I'm totally open to it. So back to the story. So bottom line though, how do you overall though? What's your full analysis about the Benton contract?
I think it's going to blow up in Dallas's face long term. It might pay dividends over the next 2-3 years, but 4 or 5 years from now, there's probably going to be a changing of the guard as far as the GM goes, and first thing they're going to want to do is move bad contracts or limit bad contracts, and he's going to be on the chopping block, and it's going to create an opportunity for another team to overpay for him.
Yeah, and Valery Nichushkin's making about, 2-3 mil, and he's on the trade block. That's just even nuts. That's even more nuts than what, the Florida Panthers did in the entire offseason. That's just how...
restricted free agent?
What's that?
Isn't Nichushkin a restricted free agent?
I believe so, but he's also trade bait, because the Dallas Stars are trying to get rid of him for some reason. Maybe because they're...
I don't know why.
I don't know, but the Dallas Stars though, I just think I think they're setting themselves up for a circus, because that's just a generosity in my opinion. I think they're pretty much asking to suck in the next few years, because Spezza's not going to be there anymore. Patrick Sharp is definitely gone next year. And so the only players the Dallas Stars will really have next year is Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin. That's pretty much it. And a bunch of rookies, but that's really about it. But
they probably won't be able to re-sign Sharp.
Yeah, that's
35 by the end of next season.
I believe so. I mean, I'm not 100% sure.
He's 34 now. I just don't know when his birthday is.
I don't either. But bottom line, though, I think it's kind of ridiculous that Jamie Benn got this ridiculous contract. But what about you, Austin? Do you have any final thoughts?
No, not really. Most of what you guys said, I'm pretty on board with. Sorry, I was kind of fading in and out. I was looking at a potential trade here that I'm just looking through for my Canucks, so I was a little conversation.
Yeah, I would just hold on to that, because we're going to talk about that potential trade with you over there, mister. Yeah, hold that thought. I apologize. But, yep. This thing is, here we go. Okay, and the next contract, this contract is so ridiculous that I wanted to smack the Tampa Bay Lightning in the face, okay? I want to just bitch slap them for this kind of contract. I mean, you don't give a third-line winger or center, whatever you want to call them, I don't know, Alex Killorn, 7 years, $31.25 million. Holy shit. That's nearly $5 million for the next 7 years. What the fuck is wrong with Tampa Bay? Why aren't you focusing on Kucherov? Seriously, somebody please help me out with this.
I think it's because Killorn is... They can use Killorn for many different things. I feel like he's a very versatile player for them.
Well,
and we saw how well he's been in the playoffs as well.
Well, obviously, but Tampa Bay's top priority is to sign Kucherov, not Killorn. I'm sorry. I like Killorn, but he is not a top priority. Kucherov was... Yeah, Kucherov was a big factor in the playoffs. I mean, when Stamkos was out, Kucherov stepped up big time.
And then they're most likely probably going to try to trade, what's his name? They're probably going to try to trade Filipula now, just so they have a little more room.
I don't know if anybody's going to take Filipula's contract, to be honest with you. Because
that is true. It's a big $5 million hit right there.
It's ridiculous. How much was Valery Filppula making when he first signed with Tampa? Do you remember?
No, I do not remember.
When he first signed in 2000, when he first got his real contract, it was worth about $5 million.
And the guy's done nothing since then.
No. Or sorry, not $5 million, $3 million. Then he got a $5 million raise.
He passes a lot, and that's pretty much it.
Jesus.
Yeah. And looking at the guy's numbers, like last year, he only had 31 points in 76 games. Like, are you kidding me? Like, he's a playoff guy, sure, but that's like giving Andrew Shaw $6 million a year when he's only going to show up for 20 games.
Yeah, that's another bad contract. The Montreal Canadiens should have never gave. I mean,
Yeah, it's really bad.
that contract is going to bite them in the ass. This is just as bad as, I don't know. Help me out here. David Clarkson.
Oh god.
Yeah, that contract was awful. Absolute awful. I mean, I can't think of another team that was so stupid at the time to pay David Clarkson that much money. I'm feeling like that now with Tampa Bay, but that was Killorn. Like I said earlier, I was just putting my 2 cents out there. Why pay Killorn first and then pay Kucherov? It should be the complete opposite because, like I said, Kucherov was a performer in the playoffs. He performed and he stepped up in the playoffs. Like that was the main factor for him for Tampa Bay when Stamkos was not playing.
Yeah, he stepped up big time.
Oh, absolutely.
Stamkos' absence.
Yeah, so here's my question. What do you think is going to happen now to Nikita Kucherov? Does he get a long-term deal like the rest of his buddies, or do you think he's going to be an RFA, like a short-term deal, or do you think he's going to be trade bait? Like, what do you think is going to happen?
Tampa is stupid to let Kucherov walk. And if they are going to let him go or trade him, they need to be getting a top 6 guy plus a good pick or something. Kucherov's going to be money in a couple more years, and he already showed it in the playoffs this year. So
Absolutely. And I think Kucherov deserves a little bit more money. I mean, Kucherov should have gotten the contract that Killorn got. I mean, I know Killorn is, a playoff guy. I get all that. The same thing happened with Tampa Bay when they signed Valerie Field-Bill a couple years ago. Stamkos got the perfect contract for $8.5 million. When they signed Stamkos, I said to myself, the Tampa Bay Lightning did the right thing here. I would have loved to have him on the Sabres, but then again, it would have been too much money, and the Sabres would have been screwed in the cap. But then again, I'm happy about it that they didn't sign him and whatever. So it gave them a ton of cap space, and that's all I can really say. So that's that. But bottom line, is there any other contracts that Bay has to worry about besides Kucherov?
They still have Nemstikov and Nestorov that have to be re-signed. I don't feel like they're gonna bring back Nestorov though.
Yeah, I heard somewhere that Nestorov's not coming back. He said he's planning to go back to the KHL or something like that. Like, I don't know the full monologue about that. That's for the Tampa Bay Lightning guys to tell me, but I don't really know. But
Yeah, Nestikov will probably get a short-term deal, I would assume.
I really hope Kucherov gets a long-term deal. I really hope he does. But if Tampa Bay could somehow, move Field-Bill's contract, I believe Tampa Bay is going to get the right deal for him. But if he asks for too much, then the Lightning are in trouble.
Big time.
That's for sure. Do you have any thoughts on this, Brent? The Killorn contract?
Well, they're just digging themselves a hole, or a deeper and deeper hole. I love to see this kind of thing because Boston is notorious for overvaluing contracts, and I'm just glad it's not just my team. Overvaluing certain players, giving them what they ask for just because they think they're worth it is it's been a serious problem here for the last few years, and now it's, I guess, moved its way south.
I guess so. I mean, it's been becoming more reluctant than ever, which is surprising, but whatever, though. You know what I mean? So, does anybody have any last-minute comments about Kucherov's deal? I mean, not Kucherov. What the hell am I saying about? Alex Killorn. I got this whole Kucherov thing in my head now, which is funny, but I meant to say Alex Killorn. Does anybody have any last-minute comments about that?
no.
No?
No,
I just don't think it's as bad as everybody thinks. that's only because of how versatile I think Killorn is for them.
Maybe. And the next giant contract, and I'm so glad about this too. I'm happy for them. Is the St. Louis Blues re-signed Jaden Schwartz to a 5-year, $26 million contract. So he's going to be making $5.2 million at annual average value for the next 5 seasons. So that's close to, $27 million. So what do you guys think?
I think it's a really good deal for on both ends.
I think so too.
Doesn't hurt him too much, and he definitely deserved the contract.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised the Blues. I mean, when David Backes was going to be a unrestricted free agent before going to the Bruins, I was kind of surprised that they didn't give him this contract because the Blues, just wanted to get David Backes back on track, and then unfortunately for them, that didn't really work out too well, and they went to the Bruins and just went from there. But I think with Jaden Schwartz playing alongside Tarasenko, I think he's just going to get better and better as it goes. That's what I think. But so do you guys think this is gonna dig the Blues into a deep hole or no?
It's not as big as I think his next contract's definitely going to be bigger because this, like you said, he's going to get better and he's going to demand more money next time. It's a good value contract for this go around, and it's kind of one of those prove it you're worth it and you'll get it type of deals. But it could be shooting them in the foot just because now they don't have a lot of wiggle room as far as trying to sign him cheap next time.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think the next time that happens, the Blues are going to be tight in the salary cap, depending who the next player comes up. Because I think they dumped half that salary on Brian Elliott when they traded him to the Calgary Flames at the draft. So that's for sure. But I think could potentially happen. But who knows? But the question is, do you guys think, to kind of get off track here a little bit, do you guys think the Blues are going to be good next year? Or do you think they're still a playoff team, or do you think they're going to go into a bit of a retool next year?
I think they'll make it at least to the wild card. I mean, the Western Conference is kind of stacked at the top, and that's about it. They've got a lot of very good teams right at the top end of the conference, but then the drop off is pretty steep. Mm-hmm. But they'll be a wild card team at the very least.
I think so too. I think they'll be a wild card team. What about you, Rob and Austin?
They'll be a wild card team, but I don't think they're going to reach nearly as far as they did this past season.
I believe that too. I don't think the Blues are going to get very far at all. What do you think, Austin?
Well, I think Vladimir Tarasenko is just going to put up like 100 points and carry them into a wild card into an Eastern Conference final and then just shit the bed again.
Maybe. We'll see. Because the Blues are technically now the new Washington Capitals of the West. I mean, that's pretty much that.
I have faith in them, but I don't know. Like someone was saying earlier, like the West is so stacked at the top, and then it just drops off. So, like they said, even if they don't have a great season, they're going to be in the playoffs no matter what.
Yeah, I think so too. But unless they make some miraculous changes at the trade deadline, then I don't see the Blues getting any farther than the wild card in the first round. I mean, yeah. I think the Blues, I think at this rate, with resigning Schwartz, it's kind of like, I don't know if this is a theory or not, or I think this is like a signing of something, like a foreshadow, is I think this contract will be the last of Doug Armstrong, because Doug Armstrong's been there for, 5-6 years now, maybe longer, with the St. Louis Blues? Someone like that. And then they're going to lose Ken Hitchcock next year because he's planning to retire. They trade Brian Elliott. They let David Backes walk. And then they resign Jaden Schwartz, which is perfectly fine. And then it's ridiculous. I mean, I feel bad for them at this point because they have such a good team. And then all of a sudden they just fall flat on their face. And they put all the pressure on Jake Allen. It's like, come on, that's not fair. I mean, it's almost as bad as trying to give, Connor McDavid the captaincy before he becomes 20 years old.
Oh, God. If they do that, oh, no.
It's going to happen. Trust me. Connor McDavid's going to be the captain.
It's not gonna work like it did with Landeskog. Just don't do it, Edmonton.
Or Crosby.
Oh yeah, I forgot he got the captaincy at a young age.
And Rick Nash, I believe.
Rick Nash.
Wait, I think Rick Nash got the captaincy a little bit later, I think.
It was still pretty early, though. Columbus needed something.
Tavares got named captain pretty, young, at I think 22 years old, maybe 21. No, not 21. 22, 23 years old when Tavares was named captain.
That made sense, though.
Oh, yeah, because, he was the franchise player, so that obviously made a lot of sense. But,
The problem is talent doesn't equal leadership, though. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Someone tell that to San Jose, please.
I feel bad for you.
Most talented kid on the team, but if you can't actually get the team behind you and have all of them support you, it don't matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But now here's my other question about the Blues. Who is going to be named captain next year?
I got to say Tarasenko.
Tarasenko?
Oh, yeah. It has to be him.
It's got to be. He's too talented. I mean, the Blues got, a diamond in the rough with them at the 2010 draft. What was he, drafted in the first round or he was drafted later? Tarasenko.
Believe first round?
Yeah, he was a first rounder. He just went a little later.
Because I could have sworn they took James Schwartz in the first round. I mean, at that rate.
First round, 16th overall.
What was the rating number, Rob?
16th.
16 for who? Tarasenko or?
Tarasenko.
And 2010. Wow.
Yeah.
And Buffalo fucked up big time in that draft. My God.
We didn't even have a first round pick in that draft.
San Jose, yeah, because you traded it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys traded it for talent, you dumb fucks.
You know what's interesting about Tarasenko's contract is that he can be traded for another 3 more years, including this year. It doesn't start until 2020. So I wonder if the Blues maybe dangle him out in front of any teams to get some more depth instead of a one-off superstar.
Oh, I have no idea. But I think Tarasenko's like 23, 24?
24, yeah.
He's 24? Wow. He's young.
We traded our pick. That's right. We traded Coyle.
Jesus Christ, guys.
Or St. Louis, they're not going to be, unless they're able to, trade away, unless they dump it this year and just kind of bag the whole season and get get into the lottery for for the first round. They're not going to have any real fodder to trade away to give Tarasenko any kind of support, and he's their franchise guy now, so that he's not going anywhere. He's untouchable. It's a dangerous game they're playing by feeding the fans what they want to see. He's going to get the captaincy just because he's the big name in town right now.
Right.
And like I said, they'll probably make the wild card just off or riding him the whole way. But as far as getting deeper into the playoffs or being a contender, they're years off.
I mean, to say that, they give Tarasenko the captaincy, I think is a little premature. Because, the guy still has to develop. I mean, they can give it to him all they want. I don't care what they do. It's not my team. But if they want to give him the captaincy, fine. But I just feel like they should give it to an older guy like Patrick Berlin or Alexander Steen or someone like that. I mean, and the Blues on top of that. And on top of that, the Blues next year have Tarasenko, James Schwartz, and Robbie Fabry as your three pair of forwards on that line next year, which is great. Or Steen, whatever way it works. The St. Louis Blues are pretty much set on offense, but is the defense going to still be the same next year? Do you think?
I think
Depends
losing
what happens with CaptainKirk.
Yeah. I think losing Backus is going to actually take believe it or not, he's not a huge offensive player, but he gets it done when he needs to, and he's he's the puppet master behind all these young guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
Groom up, and it's gonna take a big hit when you don't have that one guy who's been there, done that to settle everyone down when in the second intermission when they're in the locker room and they're getting their ass handed to them. There's not that one guy that gets everyone's nerves back under control and gets them focused right. You don't have that. It's going to be like a bunch. You might as well be playing preschool ball or puck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. So you're pretty much saying that it's going to come back and bite them in the ass in a couple of years.
Absolutely.
I think
this year.
I don't know about this year though. Maybe down the line because think about it. When Ken Hitchcock retires, okay, he's already made the clarification. He's going to retire next year, but Mike Yeo is going to come in as the interim head coach or the head coach after Ken Hitchcock. That to me is the biggest fuck up that any team can possibly make. I'm sorry. I don't like Mike Yeo's style. I don't like his attitude. His ego's huge. I mean, there's not so much I could say about him right now. Maybe it could work better in St. Louis, but the St. Louis Blues fucked up big time when they hired Mike Yeo as that next head coach after Ken Hitchcock.
Easily.
Oh, God. I want to see them succeed. I mean, I'm 23 years old talking about the Blues, and I'm not even a Blues fan, and I want to see them win a cup. I mean, they had the team to beat San Jose, but San Jose was more competitive. That's the thing, and they have more experience in the playoffs. That's the only difference. But that's not what we're talking about, though, obviously. But does anybody have any last-minute comments before we move on?
We got to look at what coaches are really on the market and available to lock down so you know who you're going into the next season with. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The coach, the pool as far as coaches go is pretty damn shallow.
That's for sure.
These guys, and that's the thing with people calling for Julian's head year after year, or the last 2 years since they didn't make the playoffs. You got to look at who's out there. Are the options that are available really better than what you got?
Absolutely. It's only a matter of time. That's for sure. Yeah, I'm just getting a text from our Canucks guy, and he's saying his internet cut him short, but I'm hoping he comes back. But if he does come back, then that's fine with me. But moving on, and this is for you, Rob, and I'm pretty sure you made a post about this as well, because I know you did. Is the San Jose Sharks resigned Matt Nieto to a 1-year deal worth about $735,000.
Yep, I did make a post about this one.
Yes. What is your opinion, son?
I feel like it's just a make it or break it deal for Nieto, and I feel if he struggles early on in the season, he will likely I feel like he'll get traded or maybe sent down to the AHL if he can be.
Maybe.
I don't know if deal's two-way or not.
What if he just performs out of like magic?
Then we have a very nice speedy winger on our team.
I believe that. What do you think, Brett, about the new contract the Sharks gave Nieto?
It's for me. It's too early to tell, just because I don't know a lot about the guy. Then as far as the numbers go, you can look at it one way or the other. It's good value for both, or it's just kind of basically playing the safe way with him.
Yeah.
If you don't give him numbers that a lot of people think he's worth, now all of a sudden the team's playing cheap. If you look at it, from business point of view, it's a solid contract for both ends. It's kind of a win-win situation. So, like I said, it's like I don't know a lot about him, but to really make the full or a complete statement on it. But yeah, like I said, I like the value of the contract.
Absolutely. And, I mean, since there's not much to talk about Matt Nieto, why don't we talk about Brad Marchand? What's his status?
The other day, contract talks officially started, or the critical phases of talks officially started. Honestly, I think he's going to take, or it's going to take, 6.5, maybe even 7 million to keep him past next season. Especially with all these dumb contracts that are going out, or especially to like Jamie Benn contract that just got done. It's gonna take a big number to keep Marchand on the roster or extended. It's gonna be even bigger to keep him on the roster once he's a UFA. You know what I mean? And he likes to play for Julian. He might see the days, being numbered as far as Claude in Boston. He's one of those guys, everyone hates him till he's on your team. You know, causes trouble, mixes it up, gets involved with the game physically, and as much as someone his size can. I personally, based or with what he's done, especially the last couple seasons, I'd be okay with them paying him 7 million a year.
And
Anything more than that, it's really you can find that with two players, the kind of offensive production.
yeah, do you think he's worth it especially if they're tight in the cap right now, or do you think they have enough cap space to sign him?
Well, they've got enough to play with a little, or give him. I don't know exactly. Let me see if I can pull up his numbers right now, because I know he's not making that much. They actually got him pretty cheap last time.
Yeah, because he was just developing Brad Marchand.
And he's turned into a hell of a player. But let's see, breakdown. Okay, here we go. Contract breakdown. 28 years old. And then current contract, 4 years, 18 million. So 4.5 a year.
I thought it was 5 years, 18 million when they first signed him.
According to this, it says 4 years on Spot Track. This season, it's a hit of 5 million. That might be where you're getting it.
Maybe.
Yeah, it was 4 million hit the first year, and then 4.5 the next two, and then this year coming up is a $5 million hit. So, and then he goes right to UFA. So it's gonna take a $7 million contract, I think, just to get the extension done.
I think
Since his contract before that was 2.5 million. So I mean, it's based on the numbers or the change in, or how much it went up in between his two contracts. It's gonna take a lot more to keep him on the roster this year, and it's gonna take a $7 million deal.
we'll have to see what happens down the line. What about you, Rob? How do you feel about the whole Brad Marchand situation?
I feel like they're gonna get it done one way or another. I don't feel like they want him to walk somewhere else, and I feel like he wants to stay in Boston.
I mean, I can't envision him anywhere else. I mean, if anywhere, I think Brad Marchand, let's say scenario he does leave Boston, I actually could see him being on the Carolina Hurricanes.
That'd be interesting.
I think so too. I mean,
I don't think he'd go to Carolina. I think he wants to play. He wants to play for a team that is a historic hockey hotbed. I think he gets off on that kind of stuff. He likes playing where people know the game and people understand the game, and especially his style of play. He won't fit in, or he won't get the same kind of following going to one of these areas or these markets that are kind of new to the game of hockey. Basically, anything south. He's gonna, if people didn't grow up playing the sport, they're not gonna get the kind of game that he brings, and he's not gonna have the same kind of fan base.
maybe, because there's been rumors about him going to Carolina for a year now, if Brad Marchand didn't sign with Boston. from what I understand. I don't know the entire situation because you are the Bruins guy and you know the whole stuff. It's only accountable to kind of, expand this a little bit with the contract with Brad Marchand. But I think in the end of the day, though, let's face it, he's going to get a $7 million contract with the Boston Bruins, I think. But the question is, how long will the contract be?
Don Sweeney doesn't do or isn't the type to do long deals. I don't think. I think he's seen enough. We've seen enough of that with Chiarelli that he's going to stay away from that kind of road. And I'd say he'd probably get another 3, maybe a 4-year deal, and have it be that. And it's going to be a take it or leave it kind of thing because he's already said, even when he released his statement as far as the negotiations, he said it's got to be both sides have to do their part, which means maybe Marchand wants a longer deal. He's going to have to give up his hopes of getting a long-term or a longer-term deal to stay with the team, or vice versa. He wants more money. He's going to have to, if he wants that more money guaranteed, he's going to have to take a longer deal and take less per year. If he wants, a longer deal or a more per year, he's going to have to take a shorter contract. So
I could see that. But does anybody have any last-minute comments about the situation with Brad Marchand?
No.
No?
I think that's it.
Pretty much. Anyway, moving on. The next one is a rumor, actually. Let's see if I have any... Actually, no. Forget the last part I just said. There is actually one more contract, and this one can actually surprise me a little bit. It's an entry-level deal, by the way. And it's Alex Nylander for 3 years, worth about $2.925 million with the Buffalo Sabres. And he's going to be making, if he goes to the AHL, he's going to be making about $210,000 at that level. And his annual average value is $1.775 million. What do you think? Rob?
Not bad. I feel like he's going to develop into a good player for the Sabres.
I would love that, actually, if he goes to Sabres and becomes the player that he is. But to give him that kind of money, to me, is ridiculous. I mean, they should have just sticked with 3 years worth about, $950K, like the CBA would normally say. The CBA would technically say you would have to keep that player at $950,000 if you were to give an entry-level deal to anybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, Jack Eichel got that contract. Connor McDavid got that contract. Leon Draisaitl got that contract. I mean, most of these guys got these big, big monster contracts, but you know what I mean? I mean, to hell with it. Sure, for the fact is that I think, like I said, the Sabres could have just went cheaper at this rate. So, that's that. What do you think, Brett?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not a fan of unproven guys. So it's one of those things, like, they see a lot of value in him. They see a future with the team with him, and the team basing a lot of the team's future on him. So they gave him a big deal. It's hard to tell. Like I said, he's young. You never know if he's ready to play the man's game. I mean, it'll find out this year. I mean, he's gonna be on the ice.
Actually, he might be either in Rochester or he might go back to Sweden. I mean, with this kind of contract, this kind of shows that he could be playing in the NHL next year, but I don't really know. He has to play at least 9 games to get paid at the contract that he's getting, but I don't know. It's just very interesting that they gave him more money than Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart combined. I mean, it's just crazy enough, and both those guys down the line are going to ask for big contracts, so that's that. But overall, I would be very happy for him to be on the Sabres this year, but we'll have to see what comes up at this point. So that's that. So, I mean, he could be better than William Nylander. That's for sure. I would love to see him be better than William Nylander, but it all comes down to the wire. How productive he really becomes. And if he sucks because of that contract, which I highly doubt it's going to be, then this is all on the management. Because you don't give a rookie $3 million when you just started. You know what I mean? This is not the NBA. It's not the NFL. You don't give that fucking money to a kind of rookie that hasn't done shit yet. I mean, I understand that it was a homegrown pick, and it was in Buffalo, and he was picked at 8 overall, blah, blah, blah. Everybody throw a fucking parade like, you know, he just won the goddamn Super Bowl. Like, come on. I mean, I'm just not a fan of the idea of them giving him nearly $3 million for an entry-level deal. That's just me, though, but whatever. If that's what it works on the Sabres' perspective, I'm totally fine with it. Overall. So that's that. Does anybody have any last-minute comments? No?
I'm good.
Rob?
I'm good.
Alrighty. Okay, so let's go back to the St. Louis Blues for a second. And apparently there's been a rumor going around, and this is according to Pat Leonard of the New York Daily News. Alright? And he said that Kevin CaptainKirk would take a pay cut in his next contract just to join his hometown team, the New York Rangers. And CaptainKirk is 27, and he's been subjected to trade rumors since the Blues exited the playoffs, and he's a UFA in next year's summer. Next summer's class, he's going to be a UFA, and he will command a heavy contract. So the question is, if he wants this kind of contract, is it worth it for the New York Rangers if they decide to trade him there?
That any team, the thing is, yeah, it'd be worth it for the Rangers. It'd be worth it, or especially for the Rangers, if this is legit, with him willing to take a pay cut to be with his hometown team. You know, you can give up something, get him now, and then all of a sudden you're leaving yourself with more space next year. You know.
Yep. And on top of that, he'd be playing with Ryan McDonough next year. Yeah. Because they're trying so hard to trade Dan Girardi's contract, and nobody's taking it. You could blame Glenn Sather for that contract, but you know what? The hell with it. But
I mean, it's one of those. If there's any truth to that rumor, that makes trading him a risky proposition right now, and it kind of devalues his tradability, because who's going to give up, or who wants to give up? It's going to take a solid piece or a decent piece to get him to leave St. Louis, just because he's got that value.
Because
what team is going to be willing to give that up to bring him in for 1 year, and just to have him walk? Because if there's any truth to that rumor, he wants to play in New York, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, but the problem is the Rangers are so tight in the cap right now. Like, I don't know the estimate cap that they're in right now, but they're in cap trouble because they gotta pay Lundqvist till he's 40, I think. Yeah, they gotta pay Lundqvist that long-term deal. They gotta still pay. McDonough's got 3 years left. They gotta figure out what's going on with him. They just repaid. They just paid Derek Stepan's contract, and Dan Girardi's got a long-term deal for another, I think, 3 years or something like that with the New York Rangers. The Rangers to me are like a bunch of hippies with their contracts. They don't know better. Like, they don't learn their lesson the first time, and they just do it again because they feel like it, because they're New York. It's just ridiculous. Like,
Yankees.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I don't like the Rangers, because the Rangers give away all this money to a bunch of players who think they're going to be on top of the world, and then they just go flat. That's just, I mean, look at all the past signs the Rangers have made. I mean, Chris Drury, Scott Gomez, help me out here, Wade Retton, just to name a few. Brad Richards, Dan Boyle, Brad Richards. I mean,
Gretzky at the end of his contract, or at the end of his career.
That's true. And then, and they got that awful contract for Dan Girardi going on for them right now. That's garbage. And then, like I said, McDonough has 3 years left on his current deal. And then, St. Louis. St. Louis didn't work out too well for the Rangers. Keith Yandle didn't work out too well for the Rangers. But so I don't know if CaptainKirk is going to automatically make them the best defensive team in the NHL, because he does have flaws to his game. But I think him pairing up with Ryan McDonough will be helpful. But who knows? I mean, he's been pretty good line mates with Alex Pietrangelo for a while, but didn't really stand out above the rest. But for him to demand a trade I wouldn't say demand a trade to the New York Rangers, but likely aiming to go to the New York Rangers makes a lot of sense. But because they do need help in the backbone, and they do need a left-handed shooting defenseman, and Kevin Shattenkirk would be the perfect guy for the Rangers. And like I said, the cap for them is ridiculously tight, so they can't really go anywhere. Because if he's asking for long-term, the Rangers are in trouble. That's for sure. Because they tried to resign Yandel, that didn't work out too well. And then they trade his ass to the Florida Panthers for basically nothing, if you recall.
It was a take him now type deal.
Exactly. I mean, I hate the Rangers. I mean, but in reality though, I just don't think it's a very smart idea to bring him in because of the contract dispute that the Rangers have been dealing with for the last couple of years. But that's just me. Because I know they were trying to give that money to Ryan Callahan before trading him, but that's a whole different story.
At the same time, bringing in a hometown guy is probably going to be smart for them because it can kind of settle things down. It can bring support back for fans that have gotten kind of jaded with all this, these superstars coming in and blowing up and not really doing anything. It could create a little more buzz and bring that and get them back to being relevant in the New York area again. Because in the state of New York, I mean, the whole focus has been on the Buffalo Sabres. Before that, it was the New York Islanders, and their big move coming out of Long Island and moving to Brooklyn.
Well, the Buffalo Sabres didn't really get the full expectations of them being the New York team because I live on Long Island and the Rangers have been the top team in the east part of New York for many, many years. Buffalo was somewhat relevant at those time frames, but not entirely because for half of that frame, the Rangers have made the playoffs. They've been kind of rebuilding. The Islanders are a whole different story. Although I love the Islanders, but that whole situation is kind of redundant too because they've been kind of rebuilding until now. The Islanders are better than the Rangers, and the Islanders kind of have the similar problem with the Rangers, except the only difference is the Islanders don't constantly do it, and the Rangers do it in regard. They constantly give away big contracts because it's a superstar player, and then they suck later on, and they're stuck with that contract.
But at the same time, they're in a big market, one of the biggest in the game. And they kind of have to bring in those superstars to keep themselves relevant, keep the fans coming back, to make that money, to keep the team in the spotlight. I mean, long term, it makes sense what they do with these big contracts to bring in the big names, but you see how it works out on the ice. It's a whole different story. What you think's going to happen and what actually does.
That's true. What about you, Rob? Do you have any opinions about this?
I feel like if he does go to New York, they probably can't keep him for too long just because of their cap issue.
Yeah, it's going to be and it's a good point that I brought up earlier. The Rangers are in deep shit right now with the salary cap, and it's going to bite them in the ass because they've already got a couple bad contracts. I mean, Girardi is one of them for sure. And then Yanda was another one before, but they traded him to Florida, so it doesn't really matter. But the Rangers are just bad with big contracts, and that's a straight up fact. So that's for sure. Anybody have any last minute comments?
Good.
No. All right. And this one's pretty surprising too, and I'm sure the majority of you heard this for a while. Is that Matthew Dumba was on the trade block?
Yeah, that was interesting.
It was. I don't know if you heard that, Brett. You haven't? Well, apparently the Minnesota Wild were trying to they were mentioned in trading Matthew Dumba away from Minnesota. And apparently a source that was tied pretty strongly to the Minnesota Wild organization had said that RFA and Matthew Dumba are nearing a contract and chances to second to none that Matthew Dumba would be traded, and the Wild offered Matthew Dumba to the Edmonton Oilers a while back on the NHL draft floor in Buffalo for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, but it was rejected. So we are kind of expecting a 5 to 6 year deal with Dumba coming out of Minnesota within another week or so.
Him straight up for Ryan Nugent Hopkins, or
Yeah, it was kind of be like the Taylor Hall situation.
I don't know. Just because I don't know if I can see why Edmonton shot that offer down, just because Nugent Hopkins was who they banked on to be the face of the team for the future for a while. Now, whatever, but and at the same time you really can't judge where that kid's going to go as far as how high his ceiling is just because he's played in Edmonton.
That is true. I don't think Nugent is going to be very successful down the line. I mean, if he goes to a team, let's say like, the Islanders, just to throw it out there, if he goes to like the Islanders, he'll definitely be successful because he'll get a fresh start. He'll be playing with a new system, a new line mates, and kind of go from there. And then of course you get to play with Andrew Ladd and John Tavares and then Dylan Strome and all these young guys. And it's just from there. I love that little swat you did. It's just like this. It's like, hold on, let me get that on camera because mine just fucking fade away. It's like, fuck you, squirrel.
Big ass mosquito.
Of course.
I had the whole time.
Yep, it's one of those days, isn't it? Oh boy. Does anybody have any last minute comments about Matthew Dumba?
I just remember this past season before the trade deadline. I remember the Lightning really wanted him, and apparently it was going to be Dumba for Jerwin. And obviously that never happened, but
yeah, that would have been a dumbass trade if they if they did. I remember the Louis. It's funny we're talking about Druin. I actually remember at the trade deadline, I was reading this on Hockey Buzz, and and Eklund said that there was speculation that Jonathan Drouin was going to be traded to Boston for Louis Eriksson 1-for-1.
huh.
That's what Eklund said, but I don't know. But that never happened. And Anaheim came up, but that never happened either. There was so much speculation about Jonathan Drouin. I don't even remember the last two teams that were interested in him. I know Minnesota had interest. I know Boston had interest. I know Anaheim had interest. Buffalo had a little interest. The Islanders were interested. Of course, the Rangers were mentioned at the time. But yeah, that was all speculation back then. But things are different now, and Druin's much more mature than he was before that whole, AHL situation. I mean, let's be honest about that. It's only going to get better for him as he goes. And I think now with him, playing with Stamkos and playing around these young guys, the Tampa Bay Lightning could be a team for years to come. And they're just ready to win a cup, too. So they just better be prepared for it.
I just don't know if they're going to be, you're locking up these guys, these middle of the road guys or say, all right, say you with the locking up Killorn for that big deal. They keep making moves like that, they're not gonna be able to stay near the top just because they're not gonna be able to pay the younger players to stick around.
I mean, they're having trouble re-signing Ben Bishop, and he's an unrestricted free agent next year. But I think most speculation believes that Ben Bishop is likely out of Tampa at this point.
Which is a bad move. You've got a guy that can play at that level, and yeah, he was hurt last year, but what happens if this young kid can't match his performance?
True. What about you, Rob?
With Bishop?
Yeah, or the Tampa Bay Lightning in general.
I don't think they can keep him, honestly, as much as I'd like them to. I feel like you gotta trade him.
I mean, I think we'll have to find out where Bishop really goes. I mean, I've heard Dallas, I've heard Vancouver, I've heard a bunch of teams interested in him, but I heard Calgary was interested in him for a while, but that obviously did not happen. It's all speculation, but we'll find out what really happens to Ben Bishop down the line. That's for sure.
Dallas isn't going to be able to afford him past this year with the friggin' big contract they just gave to Ben. So
we'll have to see. I mean, it's all coming down the line. It's all coming together for Dallas. That's for sure. That is absolutely for sure. Does anybody have any last minute comments? No. Nope. Do any of you have any rumors to spread?
not so much a rumor, but a story or that's been going for the last couple days. Or last few days. David Pasternak and I believe it was Colin Miller landed in Beijing the other day with the Bruins youth development team or youth hockey development team, and they will be doing all kinds of development with young Chinese hockey players. Go figure. But they're trying to bring the sport to new arenas or new areas and spread it around the globe.
UK.
What?
UK.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah. What the fuck is up with that? UK just got a hockey team thanks to the KHL. Good job, Britain. Good job. You finally got yourself fans. There are very 5 of them in London right now. That's for sure. I mean, they could probably get better as it goes. I don't really know what's gonna happen, but they're definitely getting a team in London for sure. Same with China, but China has already been discussed. But London's getting a team as well. But yeah, and I believe we covered it in the last podcast, and I'll just bring it up anyway. Is George McPhee is the new Las Vegas GM when the new team gets revealed and whatever the being is. But does anybody have any comments about that brief story?
I heard something about the other day, and he's committed to creating a winner immediately. Were the quotes that were released? Well, you don't just pick up. You're not the Edmonton Oilers of the '80s or the '70s and '80s.
Definitely not.
It's not going to be an expansion team that's going to come in and change the way the game is played.
Or the Colorado Avalanche in '96. They were an expansion team, and then they won the cup in their first year.
Expansion? Well, yes and no, because they were the Nordiques before that.
That's true.
So it's the team or the franchise had been, developed over time, and they were established. So it's I understand where he's trying to go with this. He wants to create a buzz. He wants to get the fan base excited and everything like that. But it's just one of those things that you look at Carolina, you look at
Arizona.
You look at Tampa, you look at Dallas, you look at Phoenix. These hot weather, not traditional hockey markets. It takes time. Like Florida, Tampa Bay, they took years to develop a franchise that was competitive. Carolina was a little different because they were just a move from Hartford.
But they won the cup 10 years later.
Yeah, but I mean they still had put out a competitive brand of hockey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
an established franchise that just moved. You gotta, in order to get the fans excited, you gotta put a it's actions, not words. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's for sure. Excuse me. What about you, Rob? Did you have any rumors about the Sharks?
Nothing, just development camp stuff and whatnot.
Interesting. I actually have one rumor I want to share, is that Jim Benning came out to the radio the other day and said that the Vancouver Canucks were looking for an improved, established young winger who could be living up to potential, and Vander Kane's name was mentioned in trade rumors to go to Vancouver, But then at the same time, the Flyers were mentioned as well for Evander Kane. And the Flyers' return, I heard, was going to be Braden Shen. But the thing is, Philly is expected to sign him long term. So I don't think the Flyers are going to give him that contract. But Vancouver is probably the oddest team to take him because he's from Vancouver and the Canucks need another winger. And as for the Sabres, they might want to look at, another defenseman from Vancouver. I heard names like Lucas Spiza, he was mentioned. Yannick Hansen was mentioned in the speculation. Hell, I even heard Bo Horvat, but I don't know if the Canucks are wanting to trade Bo Horvat for Evander Kane.
Yeah, I feel like they would want to keep Horvat.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, they got rid of Jared McCann. I know the Canucks were a little lenient about trading him, but they finally traded him for Branson. But I just feel the Canucks are fucking themselves over because if they trade Evander Kane to Vancouver, they're asking for trouble, and there's pretty much gets Buffalo off their chest, and it's like, yes, finally we got rid of Evander Kane. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Evander Kane as a hockey player, but his off-ice issues is a problem. His issues off the ice are a huge problem, a big red flag, and that's why I think the majority of the fans want him gone by now. I mean, if he was putting up maybe 20, 30 goals this season, then I think the story would be a little different. But because it's Evander Kane, the media is going to be a bunch of whores and try to legitimately try to get it as much attention about the story as possible.
Well, at the same time, he hasn't actually been brought up on criminal charges for any of the nonsense he's pulled.
But it doesn't matter.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if there's got to be some amount of support for but from the fan base up there. I mean, to be able to put up with that nonsense time in and time out, and then the legal system not even get involved where it should,
Twice.
I thought he was on his third.
Twice.
Okay, twice.
Because he was accused for sexual assault in December, and he was accused for doing what he did recently at the Bottoms Up. But that's a whole different story. But still, Evander Kane needs to stay away from the alcohol and stay away from the Playboy mates. That's for sure. Because Evander Kane's got that lifestyle as a Playboy kind of guy. Has the girl who's on the Playboy magazines and hanging out with Odell Beckham Jr.
Like I said, he's more interested in being a rock star than he is being a hockey player.
It's kind of distracting, but at the same time, I do like Evander Kane as a hockey player, but it is kind of distracting that he's acting like that, which is ridiculous. He should be more.
What it reminds me of is that kid. Have you seen the movie Goon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he reminds me of the kid that Sean William Scott gets sent up to Nova Scotia to protect.
Yeah, I remember that part.
That whole kind of party lifestyle and then flushing all his talent down the toilet because he wants to get involved in that nonsense.
Yeah, that's what I think it is with Evander Kane right now. He's pretty much just wasting his talent and wasting his potential just by doing all that ridiculous shit. Even if he was not accused for it, he wasn't charged for it. But still, I mean, if the Canucks really want him, fine. I have no problem with them trading Evander Kane at all. I mean, if this was like Sam Reinhart, that's a different story. But if it's Evander Kane, I have no problem with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So, any thoughts, Rob?
No, nothing really.
Nothing really? Interesting. So I guess we'll wrap up the show here, and I do have one announcement to make, and I'm sure you two know about it by now, is we're doing a new, series on our page at NHL Fans 365. It's going to be called Friday Night Hockey. It's pretty much like if you ever see those videos on YouTube for Death Battle on Screw Attack, it's kind of like that, but it's hockey players. Like, we'll take some from the present and some from the past and have them duke it out in terms of statistics and achievements and accomplishments in their careers and duke it out in a fight and see what happens. It'll be interesting, but we're going to try to gather as many people as possible for this project, and we're going to have multiple episodes every 2 weeks. At least one episode every 2 Fridays. So, let's say we start the series on, let's say, August something, that Friday, or the following Friday, and then we would put the shit together and upload it in then the 2 weeks prior. You know what I mean? So that would be interesting. So keep an eye on that, guys. For if you're interested in doing an episode, let me know. And I'm gonna possibly, I'm pretty much confirming this now, is that I'm gonna ask a bunch of you guys, the admins I'm talking about, to what's that word I'm looking for? Rotate the hosts, like the show. Like one week it'll be like me and let's say Beach Cat, who is our Florida Panthers admin. I'll have him come up on one show, and then the next week I'll have you like Rob and Brett do an episode together or something like that. Like we'll switch it up. What do you think?
Great
Sounds
idea.
good.
Yeah, so we got a lot to talk about that, but yeah, so keep an eye on that, guys, for the announcement for that new series. It's called Fighting Night Hockey, so that's that. And so I guess we'll wrap it up here, and I had fun on this podcast for sure. There was a lot to talk about, and we got it through it like it was nothing. So that's that.
That didn't cut out.
Hooray! Because normally that's usually the fucking case for you. It's just like, it's like this. Hi guys, fuck! It's like Prison Break. You just like get sent back there within a minute. It's like you take your phone call in prison and be like, yeah, hi, what's up? Hooking down in like 5 minutes, and you go back and you're stuck there. That's pretty much what it was for a while.
Pretty much.
I mean, I don't watch Prison Break, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is your host, Boomstick, the head admin of NHL Fans 365, the head admin of the Buffalo Sabres, and let's say goodbye to our admins one more time.
I'm #HertlTheTurtle.
I'm the Boston Bruins admin, #OnCloud9.
And I am Boomstick, the head admin of the Buffalo Sabres, and we'll see you in the next one, and sayonara.